am having, Mac.
Sonic Frontiers is unlike any game I've ever played before, and I mean that in a great way. I've said it time and time again in just about every single Frontiers video I've made, that from the moment the game was announced, I knew that it would be great. But when I played it, I felt completely differently. I didn't think it was great, I thought it was amazing. I thought that this was my favorite Sonic game, and I know I made a video a little while ago saying that it was my favorite Sonic game despite not playing it, but I love to have that reassurance. After playing it and completing the base game, I can say without a shadow of a doubt that this is my favorite Sonic game. Unfortunately, in this video I will not be talking about story elements or anything related to the final moments of the game, because I feel like, personally speaking, if you go into this game blind, you will have an amazing time with it. I feel like there will be so many crazy things that happen, and you'll be able to really appreciate it for what it is. And that's exactly how I felt when I played it, because I avoided spoilers at all costs, and found myself surprised at just about every turn. However, if you were on the fence about the story and expected me to talk about it here, and was hoping that maybe I'd give you that final push, I will say this: the story is one of the best in the entire franchise, if not the best, and that's all I'm really going to say about it now. That aside, it took me about 15 hours to complete the main story of the game. I didn't really focus a lot on side quests or doing anything along those lines. I just wanted to see how long it would take to beat the story, and it was 15 hours. And I still have a lot of work to do on Kronos Island, Ares Island, and Chaos Island after the fact. So I'm going to go on a limb here and say that it would take 20 hours total to beat the game on hard mode, and that's the mode I played on. Bottom line is, it should take around 15 to 20 hours to beat this game, at least for me, on the hardest difficulty. And this is one of the longest Sonic games we've had, mind you. So I feel like, in terms of longevity, you're going to be eating pretty good. Also, before I forget to mention this, I am playing this on a Nintendo Switch, by the way, so every piece of gameplay that you see here in this video itself is going to be my gameplay from the Switch. So if you like what you see here, then I'm sure you will enjoy the Switch version. That aside, let's get into the actual game itself, the gameplay, because this is the most important part and likely the selling point for this game. Now, I will say this, like I said at the beginning of the video, it is unlike any game I've played before. I feel like anyone can fall in love with this game, whether you're a Sonic fan or not, because there's so much you can do here, and I feel like it offers a variety similar to that of Sonic Adventure, where I feel like everyone gets a chance at doing what they love. You got the Cyberspace stages for the Sonic fans who love the boost games, and you have this open zone area for people who just want a new experience for Sonic the Hedgehog, or just straight up want to explore. Most of your playtime will be spent in the open zone, and you'll spend, I don't know, not very long in the Cyberspace levels themselves. I mean, I think the longest Cyberspace level I played was about 3 minutes long, and I've played maybe, I don't know, about 10 or 12 of them. That isn't to say they aren't good, because I really do believe that they kind of hold their own. I think a lot of people dogged them in the beginning, but they got a bad rap because these are actually pretty fun. Being able to complete all of the missions involved in the Cyberspace levels was actually really fun for me, as I kept going back and replaying them, getting a better time, and also collecting the red rings, which aren't super hard to collect in this game. I think I got the red rings in just about every single level I played, and I kinda did it casually. I don't normally collect red rings or do completionist type stuff in Sonic games, but this game definitely felt a bit different. The weirdest thing about Cyberspace to me was the sheer fact that Sonic can no longer boost into enemies. Not that there's that many enemies in the first place to boost into, but when you try to boost into them, Sonic actually takes damage. And it made me think that this game really does not encourage boosting. I think it lets you do it if you want to get faster, but at the end of the day, it kind of forces you to rely on using Sonic's other abilities, which I found pretty interesting. It seems the days of Sonic boosting into enemies without any stopping has finally come to an end, but it has opened up an entire new era with all sorts of new moves. I'm talking about the skill tree for the open zone levels. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the game. Gaining skill points by defeating enemies and then upgrading your skills to give Sonic a more involved moveset makes the game a lot more fun to me, and I feel like I can pull off all kinds of sick combos. And also, if you're someone who really isn't concerned about combos, there is a feature where you can actually use an auto combo where you can just kind of mash one button and it will complete a combo for you. While I personally did not use this, I feel like this is actually a great idea because there are some people out there who may not like what the combat has to offer, and they may just want to get it over with and might not remember all of the buttons you have to press to do them. So I feel like in this way, you give them an opportunity to see all the moves that Sonic has at his disposal without having to rely too much on memory. In all honesty, I feel like using auto combo probably would have been a lot better for my experience, and I only say that because sometimes using the inputs for these moves just didn't work. Like, for example, Wild Rush. Whenever I tried to use that move, it only worked maybe 50% of the time, because the buttons used for this are also used for dodging, so most of the time Sonic would just kind of dodge out of the way instead of doing what I asked him to. That said, if there's a move you feel like you don't know how to master or cannot figure it out, there is actually a training mode that allows you to kind of figure it all out, which is something that I really didn't expect to see from this game, nor is it one that I thought I'd actually be using quite a bit here too. Also, another cool thing about this whole trading room thing is when you're waiting for the next area to load or something to load in this game, oftentimes you're presented with an option where you can just kind of train as Sonic and do all kinds of different moves against this little shard. And I think it's so cool because it's like, I don't have to sit there and look at a loading screen. I can actually do something while I wait. The game wants you to master the combat system, and even though it's a very new thing entered into the series, I feel like it does a great job at being exactly what it is, and cannot wait to see how it improves in future Sonic games. One of the biggest reasons why I think the combat in this game is so good is because of the enemies you fight in it. You see, not every single enemy can be defeated the same way, and Sonic has so many moves that you have to figure out what makes each enemy tick, and then use that move against them. It's so wonderful. Not to mention, it's extremely satisfying if you're able to land a whole bunch of hits on them without taking a hit yourself. It feels like, oh man, I just totally destroyed you, and now you can't do anything about it. Or as many like to say, get wrecked, kid. No, but I can't overstate this. This is the first time we've seen anything like this in a Sonic game since Sonic Unleashed, and honestly, I think this game kinda did it better. And the fact that we've come this far, I feel like this sets a really great tone for the future, because if we see this combat system implemented in future Sonic games, then we're in for a real treat, because they started off on such a high note, it can only get better. The last thing I feel inclined to talk about in this video today is Big the Cat's Fishing. The reason I think I like this so much is because it's a really interesting break from what's going on here in Frontiers. You see, Frontiers is a very climactic game. No matter what you're doing, it feels like you're always on edge, with Sonic always on the edge of your seat, wondering what will attack me next, what will this game throw at me. And with Big, you kind of enter and there's a lo-fi chill beat going on, and the fishing is much easier than Sonic Adventure for that matter too. It's really easy to catch just about anything, as long as you're just paying attention. Big's fishing minigame will also help you kind of speed past the story a bit faster too, as you can get all sorts of things from his little item shop when you trade things away. This fishing minigame also adds a bit more to the story, and I want to actually make a video about that in itself, because there's a really cool thing that you can unlock here. I don't want to get too far into it, but it's so cool. That said, I think Sonic Frontiers is a must if you're a Sonic fan, and I do believe that just about anyone can play this game, whether you're a Sonic fan or not. I think it's a great way to get into the series because it does introduce a whole bunch of new stuff, but at the same time, it stays true to what Sonic the Hedgehog is used to doing. And even though I didn't talk at all on the story, I do want to say this: it feels like a love letter to longtime Sonic fans, and I think you will really appreciate it if you are a fan. I made a video a little bit ago talking about how Sonic Frontiers has done the impossible, and when I made that video, I was talking about how Sonic Frontiers had already become my favorite Sonic game, despite not having played it, but after playing it and playing it again, man, it was so hard to put this game down. I'm telling you, I sat there for hours, literally not moving, just playing this game. And then when I looked at the time and saw how late it was, I was like, oh man, I'm still playing. And I didn't stop. This game truly is hard to put down, and one of my favorites for that reason. Guys, I kid you not, there is so much content in this game, and I feel like when you first play it, you will not feel overwhelmed or underwhelmed. You'll feel like this is the game that you've been waiting for. At least, that's how I felt. This is truly the return to form that Sonic the Hedgehog needed. It goes further than just the story itself. It goes to the gameplay, the characterization, the overall world and themes that this game had to offer. It feels like a true to its core Sonic the Hedgehog game. If you're on the fence about this game, I really do urge you to pick it up. I promise you'll have a lot of fun with it. I love this game, and oh my gosh, I can't get over how great this game was. Of course, like all things, it wasn't perfect, but I think it was a great stepping stone for what the future of Sonic the Hedgehog could be. And man, and I cannot wait to see what comes next. Frontiers was a legendary experience and one you should definitely try out. To me, this game is a 9 out of 10. There was so much to love about this game, and there's so much that can be built on in the future for Sonic the Hedgehog. As much as I would love to give this game a 10 out of 10, there are a few things wrong with it, and there's one thing in particular that I do not want to address right now, but I will circle back eventually to talk about it. I think you all should probably just experience it all for yourself, and then we can come collectively as a community and talk about everything. But for now, this is all I'm going to say. Please play Sonic Frontiers. Please support this game. I promise you, you will love it. But anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. This is SONICSTA signing out. Have a super blessed day. I'll see you in the next one.
Why are you playing that trash?